Hello, I have here two Yamaha Clavinova digital pianos, the CLP635 on my right, the CLP645 on my left. If you're trying to learn what the differences are between these two, this video is for you. I'm going to explain exactly what they are and what it is that you get for your extra 400 odd pounds with the CLP645. Have a look at the ePianos website or come and visit our showroom here in Banbury. Delivery is fast and free across the UK. Now there will be a playing comparison later on in this video. First of all, I want to talk about the main differences. So the biggest, most important difference in my opinion is this. The CLP635 has plastic keys. The CLP645 on the white keys has wooden keys. This makes a huge difference in terms of how it feels to play. Now traditional pianos of course have wooden keys on them. Wooden keys not as dense as plastic ones. They're slightly lighter to the touch. They're still weighted, still feels like a traditional piano to play, but wooden keys feel lovely to the touch. They just seem to return to the normal position a little bit faster. They're not so dense when you're playing quick passages. In comparison, wooden keys versus plastic keys, the plastic ones really do feel a little bit more sluggish. Now I can't knock it completely, it's still weighted, the 635, like a real piano, but comparing the two, wooden keys is a massive difference between the two. So white keys on 645 are wooden, not the black ones, but it really does make a difference in the way that these pianos feel. Even a total beginner is going to sit down and play these two and they will feel a difference in the way the keys respond to your playing. And of course, if you're an advanced player, if you're used to using a traditional piano, you are going to prefer the way the 645 feels. There's no question about it. So the second big difference between these two pianos is the speaker setup. The 635 has two 30-watt amplifiers and it has two 16cm speakers. The 645 in comparison actually has two sets of 25-watt amplifiers, two on either side. It has the same 16cm speaker cones that the 635 has, but it has an additional pair of 8cm speakers on either side as well. This is important because if you play with light and shade, that's to say you play quite subtly, sometimes very, very light as a feather, sometimes heavy as a hammer, you need your speakers to be able to give you the scope to play like that. Now, the 635, two 16cm speakers either side. What I've noticed when I'm playing them side by side is it can quickly become a limiting factor if you do play with a lot of subtlety. If you really hammer it and then you play gently, it does start to get a little bit boxed in and sound a little bit muddy. The 645 in comparison, with those additional 8cm speakers and the extra amplifiers in there as well, gives you much more range. It's more crisp and there's more clarity, particularly on the top end, but it saves the bottom end when you're really giving it some from getting too cloudy and too muddy. It keeps that clarity all the way through the range of the speakers. If you're a total beginner, admittedly this isn't something you notice straight away, but as you improve, as you get better and start to do your middle grades, then you're going to be required to play with light and shade and show expression, and that is where eventually 635 is limiting when you compare it to the 645, which has got way more scope because of its speaker setup. So the third really big difference between these two pianos is that the 645 has got built-in Bluetooth, and this is a really handy feature to have because it means I can just take my phone out of my pocket or your iPad or something like that, and you can play music straight through the speakers at the touch of a button. It's very easy to set up. There's a Bluetooth pairing button that you just press and it immediately links up to your phone or your tablet. 635 doesn't have that built into it. It is possible to do, but you need the Yamaha wireless adapter, which is about £60. This will allow you to play your music through the speakers using your Wi-Fi connection. But I do have to sound a warning here. When you play music from your iTunes collection, for example, through the speakers of the 635, because it is only those two 16cm speakers, it does tend to get boxed in and sound a little bit muddy. It's the same as the playing. If you're listening to highly produced music, as you know most music on iTunes is, it doesn't quite come through with the richness and the clarity that you might expect it to. The 645, in comparison, because it's got those 2 extra 8cm speakers, it does sound much better when you play your music through the speakers. Again, there's more clarity in the top and the bottom end, and it just sounds a lot better. So those are the 3 big differences between the two. A couple of other differences, only small things. If you look at the music rest holders, you'll see that they're plastic on the 635, and on the 645 they're a slightly more sturdy metal there. And the music rest itself is larger on the 645 than the 635. Now let's have a listen to them being played side by side so you can compare the sound. So as you've probably discovered through your own research, there are many things, as you'd expect, that are the same in these two pianos, being next to each other in the range, the same amount of keys, you can wear headphones with them, they never ever go out of tune, they've both got the dust covering lids, they both have this wonderful technology from Yamaha called virtual resonance modelling, which tries to simulate the body of the 9-foot long concert grand piano. It really does work nicely. It gives you all those lovely howling, swelling, whistling noises that you get from a real piano cabinet. You have a 16-track recorder. You have 250 songs that you can record onto the pianos. There's USB connections for taking off your recordings as a WAV file or MIDI. It's got the traditional MIDI in, out and through connections as well. They've also got this clever technology when you're playing with headphones, if you have to be quiet because of your neighbours or your family in the house. There's a nice technology called stereophonic optimizing, where when you're wearing headphones, it gives you the sound in your right ear of the piano from the right hand side, and the same with your left ear. It gives you the sound from the left hand side. It's actually very, very nicely done. It's certainly not just a gimmick. I recommend trying it if you can. They both have that technology in there. So the big question, what piano should I buy between these two? Is it worth the extra 400 and something pounds for the 645? Well, for me, wooden keys is what it's all about. They are so much more authentic, so much nicer to play. It's almost just a case of that alone for me on the 645 makes it a much nicer piano. But you couple that with the superior speaker setup on 645, then that makes all the difference, because you need that light and shade. You need that scope to play with subtlety. So for me, the 645 is the winner between these two. If you're a beginner and you sit down and you try both of these, you'll notice immediately that the wooden keys feel a little bit different and possibly for you a bit nicer than the plastic ones on the 635. If you're an advanced player, I guarantee you'll sit down and play these two and you'll notice immediately the wooden keys are more authentic than the plastic ones, and the speakers will give you more scope to play with light and shade. So I hope that's been useful to you. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section below, or you can get in touch with us here at the shop. We're open Monday to Saturday. We're always here to help, happy to speak to you. And if you decide to buy one of these from us here at ePianos, you'll get a matching bench, a set of headphones, course you'll get the manual and you get the book of 50 bits of sheet music that come with the pianos, and they're built in so you can play them and play along with them. And there's also a 5-year warranty on these pianos as well. It does require registration with Yamaha, but it's a sign of how sturdy these things are. It's really good of Yamaha to do. We are a small independent shop here at ePianos, but we're passionate about what we do. It would be our pleasure to supply you with a digital piano, so get in touch today. Bye bye for now.